is your lucky day to be baptized in the Greek Orthodox Church.
Hi, I'm Nia Vardalis, and you're listening to
I think the level's up way too high. John Stanko here with Kevin Bartnett. Another episode of the BS Report here on WYCR. It is 8:03 on a Tuesday evening. And we're going to start off talking about probably the main thing that was on SportsCenter all day today. It was all over Twitter. The reaction to the national championship game that happened last night between the 7-seeded Connecticut Huskies taking down the 8-seed Kentucky Wildcats, 60-54 the final. Your Connecticut Huskies are the NCAA champions this year.
I think what I've taken out of this whole thing is, before I obviously get into my dude, obviously.
Before you get into your man crush.
Before I get into my dude, okay. I'm gonna say right now, let's keep in mind, UConn has won in the last 15 years 4 national championships. That is twice more than any other program.
Mm-hmm.
The only teams that are even close in that since that time span are Duke and UNC, and they each have 2. UConn has 4. I think that UConn deserves some respect because when you think of the college basketball powerhouses, you'll think of the UCLAs, the Kentuckys, the Dukes, the North Carolinas, the Kansases, the Indianas. Kansas, by the way, who UConn just passed in more national champions. I think you now have to throw UConn into this conversation if they weren't in it already. But this is not just a Jim Calhoun team anymore. That this is just a complete legitimate basketball powerhouse, and they are a blue blood.
Yeah,
in college basketball.
They were before this championship in my mind. They were a designated fantastic basketball program.
The thing with them though is they don't seem to get the respect and the prestige that these other programs that I meant, the above programs that I mentioned,
well,
they are not respected. I feel as the same level.
Well, I mean,
as some of these other programs are.
I mean, that's safe to say. You think part of that? Now you mentioned Duke; they're in the South. They got Mike Krzyzewski, who's been there forever. You got Kentucky; it's in the South. I think what hurts Connecticut is they're in the Big East. They're in the Northeast, if you will, and that's mainly a football sort of thing. Many people are obsessed with the football here, and I think that also the fact that it's a big public school in Connecticut. I think Connecticut's not that big of a state either, so I think that obviously hurts them a little bit. I can agree with you, though. They don't get the respect that they deserve, but for me, they had it before the championship already.
I think that this team, they were not a 7 seed. Like the way they played,
I did not have a problem where they were seeded.
I didn't have a problem with the way they played, but like the way they played, they were not a 7 seed.
Oh well, no, of course not.
They won the national championship.
Granted, they had to go into overtime in the first game.
But St. Joe's, I thought, was a little underseeded a little bit.
It does. If you're still, they had to go. Their toughest game was going into overtime in the first game when they had to come back.
I saw because I watched that overtime game, and I saw something there. I mean, I saw how good of a shape the team was in because they killed St. Joe's in overtime in that game.
Yeah,
they outplayed them completely, and I was like,
outscored them by 8 in overtime. I
was like, they're beating them. I was like, then I knew they were going to beat Villanova. I just had that gut feeling.
I had them beating Villanova.
I had them beating Villanova as well, and then I told you they were going to beat Ohio State. I mean,
Iowa State. Yeah.
Iowa State, excuse me. Sorry. And then Michigan State, who many people had in the Final Four, and then they beat a team that I feel like 90% of the country have winning it all in Florida.
I had Florida winning it all.
I had Florida winning it all too.
Listen, but what Connecticut did in the second half against Florida, my God, they made Florida look innate. They could not do anything. It was absolutely insane.
Florida 3 losses this year, 2 of them to Connecticut.
It's insane.
2 of them to Connecticut.
I don't believe the second half was completely dominated by Connecticut. There was never a point in that second half where I was like, you know what, Florida's going to make a run here. They can come back and win this. I never felt it. They controlled the final basketball. They were the better basketball team. And Wilbekin was absent for the majority of that game for Florida as well.
And yesterday was a fantastic game. I loved every second of it. The atmosphere in that I mean, look, I'm not a fan obviously because it's played in Dallas Cowboys Stadium. But that is a beautiful stadium.
How crazy is it that the Jumbotron is bigger than the actual floor?
Yes.
That's insane.
And then they made a smaller Jumbotron underneath the actual huge Jumbotron because of the seats.
Exactly.
But with that, though, that was an amazing atmosphere last night. And Jerry Jones obviously was booed when he was playing Jumbotron. But if I were them, I would have given Jerry Jones a warm reception. That was a great Final Four.
It's a fantastic arena. I'm going to say this personally. I thought the game last night wasn't a well-played game. It reminded me of the UConn-Butler game where it was entertaining, but both teams didn't play their best basketball. That's where I got out of it. From watching that game, I was like, both these teams are not playing at their 100% top level.
I just feel that this overall Final Four, though, was kind of reminiscent of 2008,
Okay.
For some reason, remember they had it was all 4 number 1 seeds, but that was a great Final Four.
I mean, I'm not denying it was a good Final Four. I mean, the Wisconsin-Kentucky game was great.
Yes.
It was an absolutely phenomenal game. That game was, in my opinion, better played than the championship game.
I think when push came to shove, though, when you look at it, it's kind of what I expected, though, actually, because like this UConn always does this. It seems like in the national championship, yeah, they somehow they don't always bring their A game. They didn't bring their A game against Georgia Tech.
No.
In 2004, they won though, and they won handily. Brent didn't bring their A game against Butler. They won. They won pretty easy. They didn't win this one easy, but the 6-point victory is pretty safe. I mean, I expected it though. Because look, these are young kids too. Like they're nationally. Kentucky had 5 freshmen starting.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I knew that they were gonna struggle.
It's incredible.
And I told you. Well, look. DeAndre Daniels had a bad game too, but I still feel like maybe if they had Willie Cauley-Stein, it could have been a different.
No, I agree with you. DeAndre Daniels did really struggle. Only shot 4 of 14. Finishes with 8 points. But listen, Shabazz Napier, he shot 8 of 16. He did his normal thing. And the way you see it is that the people for Kentucky, they didn't really step up. James Young didn't have that good of a game, only 5 of 13 shooting. Granted, he had 20 points.
That was also the biggest highlight reel dunk I've seen.
Oh my God,
that was one of the best dunks.
That was a grown man dunk.
Yeah, and then Alex Poitras had another great.
Yeah,
their athletes are unreal, but the Harrison brothers didn't shoot well.
But also, make your free throws, Kentucky.
Yeah.
If we learn one thing from this game, you make your free throws, you at least probably tie this game. They finished 13 for 24, and 8 of 9 came from James Young. The rest of the team shot dismal. I can't say his name. Dakari Johnson. Dakari Johnson. Wow, that was my tongue just didn't work. Dakari Johnson, 1 of 4 from the free throw line.
He's also the backup center though, behind Cauley-Stein.
Still 1 of 4 from the free throw line. All right.
He held his own defensively though against Daniels.
Dominique Hawkins misses both his free throws. Poitras misses his one and only free throw. You made 54% from the free throw line. You deserve to lose.
Yes, that's true. Hey, UConn was the better team.
They were
played better last night. Experienced seniors. But I still think that this is John Calipari's best coaching job he's done so far.
Do you really? His best coaching job so far?
Yes, even better than the national. Because that national championship, they were far and away the best team in the country that year.
Yeah,
they were the best team. They had the top 2 overall picks in the NBA draft. They had an experienced veteran, Patrick Patterson, on that team. They were far and away the best team in the league that year.
Another thing that boggled my mind was in the half-court set in that game for Kentucky in the second half. They had more turnovers in the second half than they had half-court set field goals. They had 6 turnovers in the second half. They only had 5 half-court set field goals made.
What was annoying me with Kentucky is I was rooting for UConn. I don't know who you were rooting for. But
I was rooting for a tie because I don't like either team.
You're from Connecticut, though.
I'm from Connecticut, and I really, really, really dislike Connecticut.
Oh, that's odd.
Really dislike the UConn Huskies. I'll get into it later why I dislike them so much.
You don't have to.
Oh, no, I want to.
That's okay.
I want to.
That's okay. But the thing is, UConn was jumping out to these big leads. On 3 separate occasions, they had huge leads. It seemed like 15, 16-point leads. Like Kentucky put it in within a 3-point lead, but while they were on that great run, Kentucky, they can never make that shot.
They couldn't get over the hump.
They couldn't get that shot to give them the lead or to tie the game. It seemed like Connecticut always, at some point, held their own. Hey, Connecticut though. I give him respect. And look, you know how I feel about Kevin Ollie, obviously.
Man crush, I know. We probably have a poster of him that you stare up at while you fall asleep at night.
Oh, Kevin Ollie, sweet dreams of you.
That's rather disturbing.
That's probably what you do.
That's what I picture. That's rather disturbing.
That's what I picture. I picture Eli Manning along with Kevin Ollie, and then you fall asleep nicely.
I didn't really think of that, but
that's what I picture.
I just think that he's really good at what he does. That's a completely different thing. But that's a completely different thing. But
Kevin's blushing.
Yeah. No, I think
a kid would make a man crush.
I think he's very good. I think sooner or later he'll be getting an NBA job.
Okay, now I want to ask you this because I was reading this point on Twitter and I agree with it. The one thing I have to say is that Kevin Ollie was not coaching Kevin Ollie recruits. He was coaching Jim Calhoun recruits.
He'll get recruits. He's young.
I understand that. But I would not give him another job. Granted, it would be an NBA job, so he wouldn't need to recruit, if you will. But let's see how he does coaching his own recruits. Let's see how that transpires next year and the year after. I'm curious. I'm not saying he didn't do a great job coaching. When you come in replacing a legend like Jim Calhoun, you got to have something in your stomach that will make it good, and he had it. But I'm just saying, I'm curious to see what will happen when he coaches his own recruits and how they'll turn out.
Also, keep in mind, he was on Calhoun's staff for a couple years, and don't forget, it's not just Calhoun.
I know, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. But I'm just interested to see what he'll do without Jim Calhoun there to help recruiting, because obviously Jim Calhoun, his name brings prominence, and people want to go there for him. So I'm just interested to see. I'm not saying he's not a bad coach. I'm not saying he didn't do a great job. I'm just curious. I'm just curious to see what he'll do the next 2 years.
I am too, but there's no denying what he did this year because as a 7 seed, they look better than every team.
Phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal job. I will not deny it. Phenomenal job by Kevin Ali. But one thing I do want to touch on with Connecticut before we leave is how stupid are college students at Storrs, Connecticut.
Oh, Derek
Have you seen Derek the RA, first of all, but have you seen the riots that went on from at UConn following the championship? Have you seen them?
No, I haven't.
How
I've seen pictures. I've seen pictures of like
are college
the morning
students?
after. Oh, stupid. I mean,
listen, I'm a college student. I'm not that dumb. Your team has won their 4th national title. You've won before. It's not like you were a Cinderella story because guess what? You're UConn. You're a good program. You're going to go out and riot in the streets, burn mattresses, flip over cars, break windows, have over 50 people arrested. How dumb can you be?
That's not smart, obviously. But
I'm incredible. It's disgraceful, frankly. And Kentucky for rioting at their own campus after losing, also really dumb. But for Connecticut, a school that has prominent, they know winning, they're used to winning, and you still riot like that, it's so idiotic to me. And that's why, that also made me angry about them winning because they acted like complete imbeciles. It's embarrassing.
That I think that's everywhere though. The University of Dayton was crowd surfing their president when they made it to Sweet 16.
Again, but that's a Cinderella story. I'm not saying rioting's ever good, but that's an 11 seed getting to the Elite Eight. That's a Cinderella story because nobody had them there, and Dayton is not prominent in college basketball. Connecticut is. It's your 4th national title in 15 years. You're used to winning. Act like you've been there before.
No, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, I didn't really put too much thought into that, to be honest. So I mean,
I did. I am ashamed. I think it's disgraceful what they did.
I didn't even know about these cars and these amounts of arrests and everything. I was just focused on the game and everything.
They were tossing dressers at cars. They were tossing dressers at cars and garbage cans at cars that are parked on the side of the road.
I just think that just comes with going to a big school and everything. I remember after
that's not an excuse for acting stupid.
I remember after the Super Bowl though with the Giants Patriots Part 2, actually UMass, remember cops had to come and use flashbangs.
Exactly,
and
that's just so dumb. Listen, it's a sport. We're both diehard sports fans. Are we ever gonna go run out after a championship and go flip over cars because we're so excited? Are we ever going to do? If I ever do that, put me in jail and leave me there for life.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think about this, to be honest. Like, you know more about this than I do, so I mean, I can't really comment on like what I don't. I mean,
half my high school went to Connecticut, so it's on my Facebook page. It's just all these videos of them going, "It was crazy last night. Oh my God, Connecticut won, awesome." I was like, "How dumb are you?"
Yeah. At the same time,
mature, please.
If I mean, put your. I mean, maybe you could say put yourself in their shoes. I mean, I don't think. I think
I lived in Connecticut, so I know that UConn's a good basketball team.
No, yeah, they're a good team. Yeah.
So why should they be acting that stupid when they're used to winning? There's no excuse for what they did.
Well, keep in mind also the kids who were freshmen or seniors now were freshmen when they won. So a decent amount of school wasn't exactly there when they won the first night. So
it doesn't matter.
They may not be.
It doesn't matter. It's the culture
and
of the school. You're supposed to be good at basketball. Act like you've been there before.
So like, if I'm saying, so say say Wichita State ended up winning it all. Look, I mean they were 1 seed and everything, or like let's say Butler ended up winning one of those national.
Listen, riding's never good. I'm never a fan of riding. When Vancouver rioted after they lost the Stanley Cup, I thought that whole city was incredibly stupid because guess what? It's a sport. Have some sense of realism that it's not going to dictate the rest of your life. It's just these students ruin the rest of their lives celebrating one game. Yes, it's a national championship, but you've won before. Your school has won before. It just boggles my mind how stupid college students can be. And I know I'm probably being hypocritical because I've done stupid stuff. I've never flipped over a car. I've never started a fire on a mattress. I've never burned a Gators jersey chanting, cursing Florida, putting it on Vine, and then putting it on social media because that's how smart I am. I hope a job interview, when they're going for an interview, they look up social media and they see those videos. I really hope they do because that's incredibly stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as I've said, I didn't know that this went down at UConn, so I can't really comment.
Also, living in Connecticut, I can tell you that nobody cares about Connecticut basketball or a majority until they're good. I can tell you. They came out of the woodwork in Connecticut. Oh, UConn, yeah, they're our school. Woo, they represent our state. I can guarantee you half the fans did not even know UConn basketball before they got to whatever they're relevant.
That's everywhere.
I know, but I lived in Connecticut, so I've seen it, so it just irks me more.
That is sports in general, though. I mean, like, hey, and the New York Islanders last year sold out every single playoff game. I mean, the Islanders don't sell out anybody. And then all of a sudden, when they're beating Pittsburgh, they go crazy. That's just that happens everywhere. So.
I know, it just irks me more because I'm from there and I saw it firsthand and I know what goes on. And it boggles my mind how stupid. Also, for UConn not to be ready for that, I think you got to be precautionary as a school to be ready for that. And obviously, they didn't do that great job containing it when it was going on. So, I mean, the whole situation just boggles my mind. I'm ashamed that those students did that. I think it's so dumb.
I don't know enough about it, so I mean, like I said, I can't comment on it.
That's my rant for the day. That's how I am angry at Connecticut because I think they acted like complete idiots.
Yeah.
Absolute idiots.
Yeah. So, all right.
Well, we're going to take a short break so I can
yeah.
cool down and Kevin can catch his breath.
That was a rant.
I'm so angry right now. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and talk a little bit NBA basketball. The playoffs are approaching. Some records being set as well by Kevin Durant. I'll talk a little bit of NBA basketball. Stay tuned for more action here on the BS Report on WICR.